to break 7. We have 7 questions for you so that your fans can get to know you better. What characteristic do you like most about yourself and why?
Siguro my adaptability because napaka-importante sa trabaho ko dahil iba-iba yung larangan na pinapasok ko eh. Iba-ibang klaseng tao yung nakikilala ko eh. At saka nakakasalamuha ko. At the same time, it makes me enjoy life more. It's opened me up to all kinds of experiences. So, kahit mahirap yung sitwasyon, I find a way to enjoy it because I've learned how to be adaptable.
Have you always been like that, Howie? Or did you learn that as you got older?
Well, you know, we're all products of our upbringing, and my father was a foreign service officer, no? So he worked in embassies, and because of his profession, I was exposed to different cultures, different countries. I grew up in a suburb of Washington, D.C. because my father was a young junior diplomat at the Philippine Embassy in Washington, D.C. when I was very young. That was his first assignment. I was one of the only brown-skinned kids in the school. It was a Catholic parochial school where almost everyone was a white Catholic. No? So the only thing we had in common was we were all Catholics, but I was one of the very few people of color. There weren't even that many Black Americans or African Americans. So from that experience, number one, I learned how to get along with people who were very different from me, at least in appearance and culture. At the same time, it made me quite conscious and eventually proud of my own identity as a Filipino. So all in all, it was a good experience, but at the same time, I have to say it was difficult as a kid. You know, as a kid, you want to be like everyone else. You want to blend in. You want to be a conformist, but as I got older, I realized that's also what made me unique. My being different from people around me, and just the uncommon way I was raised, the uncommon way that my childhood turned out.
What's something about you that people would be surprised to know?
I really started appreciating plants, gardening in the last few years during the pandemic and up to now. No, it's, you know, there are fewer restrictions and we can go out and travel more. I still look forward to gardening almost every day. So I'm a very avid gardener.
So naging certified plantito si Howie.
You know, I prefer to call myself a halaman.
I like that. Halaman.
Yeah, na yung plantito eh. I think a halaman would capture my inclination a lot more.
Howie the Halaman. I like it. If you could learn one new personal skill, what would it be?
Hands down, a musical instrument. You know, my brother is a musician, and so is my son. My son plays the piano. My brother plays in a band. He's a teacher also. My brother does a lot of things, but he's been playing music for a long time. He plays bass guitar and rhythm guitar, and also sings. I wish I had more musical talent. I sang in a choir when I was a kid, but I never had time to develop or learn a musical instrument. I've always been surrounded by people who love music.
What instrument would you like to play?
The most useful, the most available would be the guitar. Kasi, you know, there are guitars everywhere, so you don't really have to bring around your own guitar all the time, no? But I've also been fascinated by wind instruments, the saxophone. I love the sound of the saxophone. Also the flute. And I suppose, kasi if I were to learn like a wind instrument, I'd probably try to learn the flute because it's more practical, no? It's more convenient to bring around. You can put it just in your bag. No? Saxophone and the flute, siguro, next to the guitar.
What did you get into the most trouble with as a kid? Meron ba? O super behaved siya?
No. I was not. I was actually, to be honest, in high school, I was kind of quasi-disciplinary case, no? But minor things like...
Totoo ba?
Minor things like I would be caught talking to my seatmate, my friends, or I'd be caught eating in class. No, mga ganun.
But did you have the same problem with your son? O hindi, mas behave?
Well, my son is different from me. He's not as into nature. My son's a pretty well-behaved kid. You know, he's an only child, no? So yung fear namin minsan is masyado kaming OC sa kanya eh. So you have to try to strike a balance between just letting him do what he wants to do and trying to manage what he's doing. Pero siguro in terms of behavior, siguro the worst was as a mid-teen. He's already 20 years old, no? Pero as a young teenager, minsan tumakas yan sa gabi, no? To visit a girl, no?
That's common. That's very, very
I
common.
don't know.
naman.
I don't know. He's our only child, so I don't know if that was common. It got us worried kasi he waited for his parents to go to sleep. Then he went out and met this girl at a convenience store somewhere near UP. And I only found out kasi, kinwento sa amin ng security guard dito sa compound.
Nahuli.
Na-booking siya, no? So we had to talk to him about that, and there are risks involved in doing that, no? I mean, we don't mind him having a social life, going out in the middle of the night to meet a girl. Well, anyway, I don't know if that's too much information about my son.
Too much information. No,
I don't even know if he would appreciate my sharing that. It's part of his past.
What old-fashioned things do you still do?
Gosh, old-fashioned things. Hindi ko alam kasi yung old-fashioned sa akin, baka hindi ko alam na old-fashioned pala kasi it's part of my normal lifestyle, no? I mean, there are certain habits or certain interests that I have that I've retained since childhood. Biking, but nauso ang biking, but I've been biking long before naging uso, no? I've been biking since I was 7. I never really stopped, no? So I don't know if that's considered old-fashioned kasi naging trendy ulit, no?
Meron ka pa ba bang tapes or mga records?
My vinyls, no? My records I've given to my brother kasi as I mentioned, he's a musician and he's kind of the repository of the family records. My father had a lot of records as well. My father was a music lover, but mostly classical and opera music. We started collecting records in the 1960s, 1970s, when there was no other format. And of course, I went through all the other formats, cassette tapes, CDs, DVDs, and then I had an iPod. And now, of course, like a lot of people, I just listen to streaming music.
Ang bilis talaga mag-adapt ni Howie, no? Adaptability.
Yeah. I mean, it's not just social, but technical. As long as it's practical. But I'm not going to. I'm not going to like upgrade my gadgets just for the sake of having the newest one. It has to serve my purposes and what I do. But maybe that's where I'm old-fashioned. I still listen to a lot of old music.
What was something you thought would be easy until you tried it?
Oh gosh, maybe cooking. I know how to cook. Very basic. To really be able to cook well, you really have to spend the time. The time spent like preparing food and cooking is time spent away from reading. I like to read and there are a lot of books I still plan to read before I die. So I know that being able to cook well is hard work. It's hard work and it's complicated, and very often you don't even succeed, and it can be frustrating, and it takes a lot of practice. My wife is a really good cook, and we have a small kitchen at home, and I don't want to get in her way. So
That's her space.
That's her space. My specialty at home is actually making coffee. I'm a coffee fiend, and my wife likes my coffee, and I also make power shakes, smoothies, milkshakes. That's what I do for the family, but most of the cooking my wife does.
Name one thing you're willing to spend more money on to make sure you get the best quality.
Oh, for sure, plants. I've been spending a lot of money, not as much as a lot of people. I'm not going to spend thousands of pesos on a single plant, but I look on the internet, I look on Facebook, I go to a lot of garden stores, and I've been more willing than in the past to spend on plants.
So that's it. Thank you, Howie.
Oh, thank you.
Galing.